Good morning and welcome into the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave. It is a day of some celebration here. Tom Leyden filling in for Brad Galley because he just got married yesterday, and I'm happy to report that Brad also took home his first career Emmy.
What a slacker!
Can you believe that? Look at this, huh?
How about that, right?
Emmy Award winner, and now he's off the market.
What a scene last night, though. I got to set the stage. We were at his wedding reception. He and Claire had a great night.
Nice.
And our general manager, Ed Fernandez, brought the Emmy with him to the reception. Ed had been at the Emmys, and so quite the scene as Brad and Claire were celebrating last night for a couple of reasons.
Did Brad take the Emmy to bed with him last night?
I don't know the answer to that question, Matt.
Good name. She's Claire and not Emmy.
Some questions are better left.
That's a good line.
unanswered.
All right, we're off to a flying start.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited too because the Ford Lions Report also got an Emmy, and that's big for our station.
That's you, buddy.
And,
That's you, my
big
man.
for our partnership with the Lions. So excited about that. That's why we're sharing those. But lots to discuss today. Mike Stone from 97.1 The Ticket, Matt Dery from the New Detroit Sports 105.1, and of course we're going to kick off our conversation.
Yes,
we should not overlook the
Father's Day
fact
to you,
that
too.
it's Father's Day.
To everybody else out there.
No question.
Conversation today starts with the Tigers, as it has to at this point of the season. There's always the level of concern question, so we start with that, and then we're probably going to morph into what we do about the bullpen.
Well, that's the biggest thing. I mean, number one, they still, and yesterday was a nice win, but that's a game last night especially, and I think Stoney will agree with me. When you're up 11-1 in the sixth inning, you need to empty the bench, you need to relax, you need to take a couple of steps back and be like, wow, we can finally breathe and cruise in a game. And instead, Sanchez threw a few pitches, had to go to the bullpen in the sixth inning. You're not playing the 27 Yankees here. This is the Twins.
It's ridiculous.
Put them away. But again, the pen is a disaster, and that's an important game yesterday where you need a blowout win. And instead, you're eking one out winning 12-9. That can't happen.
It's terrible. And today the Blaine Hardy era begins because they send Knebel down. They bring up another. So now they have three lefties in the pen. With Hardy, Koch,
If they
and
can
Krall.
get them out, I don't care
I know.
if they could throw left-handed, right-handed. They got to be able to get people out.
It's amazing. They can't, and they don't miss bats either.
No, that's the biggest issue. And I think not only that, but this oversaturation this week of bunting. I know Stoney's a big bunting guy.
But I've toned down only in situations, and the situations this week were kind of crazy.
Yeah, they were. I mean, bunting early in the game. I think it was the fifth inning of that one game with the White Sox where you had Suarez, who was red hot bunting. The Tigers have been a team that is laced with talent up and down the lineup, and a lot of big money players. I mean, Torrey Hunter's making $13 million a year. Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez. Let these guys swing the bats. This small, I have no problem taking the extra base and having some more speed on the team. But bunting in the fifth inning of games, the Tigers used to be a team that other teams feared. So mash them.
Friday night, he bunted Kinsler with guys first and second and nobody out.
Right.
And you know what, though? Although I was against the bunt, when a guy is struggling as much as Kinsler is, do you have a better chance of advancing the runners with him bunting or with him another Ian Kinsler pop-up?
But I don't like free outs. I don't like giving the other team free outs, and that's not what the Tigers have been doing. You want to be in a 1-1 game, first and second in the eighth inning maybe, or the ninth inning. But again, even if you're playing for 1 or 2 runs, with the way this bullpen is pitched, you should be trying to get up 3 or 4 runs.
And how can you play for 1 run when you're playing in that ballpark in Chicago?
It's a launching pad. Exactly. And with a struggling Verlander on the mound.
Let's take a look at where they are, because we have the series finale coming up with the Twins today. Rick Porcello gets the start. He's 8-4, of course, struggled in his last 4 starts, 1-3. Lots of runs, 17 earned runs given up in the last 4 games. But they are still a game and a half ahead of Kansas City. You'd expect it to be more, but they get an opportunity 4 games against the Royals coming up this week at home, which I hope they at least take 3 out of 4. You'd like to see them create some separation and maybe sweep that series.
It would be nice, but for some reason, Kansas City, they've gone through those times where they always give the Tigers trouble. Earlier this season, the Tigers pretty much own the Royals. It's going to look. He mentioned Justin Verlander. If this guy doesn't pitch the way, or at least close to the way he pitched the last couple of years, who knows what's going to happen? They're starting pitching all of a sudden. Besides for Scherzer had the good game the other night. Sanchez has been their best pitcher.
Right. I think a start today from Porcello is crucial because for him to start as hot as he did, 7-1, he struggled. This is where you need a starter to step up and help quell some of the bullpen issues, right?
There's a starting pitcher out there in Washington. His name's Pfister. He used to play somewhere.
Yeah, who dominated the Giants the other night.
Yeah,
pitched very
what's he,
well.
6-1 or 5?
5 or 6-1. And look, here's the other thing. Today they're going up against Ricky Nolasco. I mean, you should hit against a guy like that. The Twins bullpen's taxed after what they went through yesterday. score some runs. It does start with the starting pitching. I think Verlander pitching Monday against the Royals, and sorry guys, I'm not ready to go, oh, the Royals are coming. Oh no. I'll believe it when I see it.
They do have great pitching.
The Royals are getting better, no question. But when they go up against the Tigers usually own them. So we'll see how this week goes, but it will be a big series. I agree with that.
All right, so series finale today. Let's take a quick look at the lineup. And you mentioned Suarez, and as hot as he's been, you're going to see at the bottom of this lineup, he's number 9. Do you even tinker with the idea of moving him out of that 9 spot, or just ride him while he's hot and hope that he stays on base for Miguel?
You know, it's weird. You ride a guy when they're hot, obviously. That's why I don't understand why he sat the other night. That was ridiculous, starting Romine in one game. That's preposterous when he's as hot as he is. But I think you have to move him up.
The only thing that bothers me about the lineup, and this isn't the case today because he's not in it, is anytime Don Kelly bats 2nd or 5th, they should just forfeit. They shouldn't even play.
You're right.
I don't care. Today's lineup's fine. You know, we did this for Leland for years, looking at the stupid lineup. It's fine. If Kelly's playing, he should bat 8th or 9th. Stop batting him 2nd or 5th. That's what bothers me the most.
Agree.
Let's hop into the Lions. Minicamp was just this past week. They're going to have a big break now until they come back for training camp at the end of July. The Chris Houston release, a huge headline. What's your reaction?
Well,
to
first,
that?
if he is seriously injured and can't play for anybody this year, then obviously they did the right thing. But here's the question I have: didn't they know this guy was hurt before the draft?
Of course.
And if so,
his surgery was in April.
okay.
Dude.
So
Yes.
if so, why the you know what are they drafting an offensive line depth in the 3rd round?
Agreed.
Now, why are they drafting a tight end in the 1st round, for that matter? But still, they need defense. Their secondary could resemble the Tigers' bullpen.
It's one of the more classic old bits of all time, is that the Lions got to get their weapons before their needs. And they will tell you, and I'm sure Martin Mayhew will say the same thing, we think Eric Ebron can be a difference maker. Once Gilbert was off the board at 9 to the Browns, all hell broke loose, but he was on our, Ebron was on our board. Right. From everybody I've talked to, it didn't even sound like Denard was even on their board or even close to being near the top. So if they don't think Fuller and Denard are going to be good enough, they took Ebron to be that guy.
I understand their philosophy. I just sometimes I disagree with it.
But now this is the guy that they gave 5 years and $25 million to last season. Right. So obviously they thought he's our best corner. Who's the best corner on this team right now? Rasheem Mathis?
He's the number 1. Darius Slay is going to get thrown right into the mix. He's going to be.
He had a great mini camp. I'm tired of hearing that guys having great mini camps.
Tell him,
oh boy,
yeah.
did they have shorts on for this one?
Yeah, tell him.
He did. But Caldwell's been pretty consistent in saying he's not going to judge anybody until he starts seeing him in
good.
action.
It's smart.
That is good. It's a smart play.
Look, all of these guys that Mayhew drafted, he throwing them all up against the wall. Lawson, Green, Greenwood, Bentley. 4 of those guys thrown up against the wall. You got to hope a couple stick this season.
You know what? We read about it. Cassius Vaughn.
Yep.
If he could play, he'd still be in
That's what I'm saying. I'm being sarcastic.
Right. I mean,
well, let me ask you this.
I hope he can.
Kansas City releases a Pro Bowl defensive back, Brandon Flowers.
Right.
Wouldn't it be nice if the Lions decided, oh, wait.
They don't have
we don't have any money. Why? Because of Sue.
It's not the...
Next topic.
I know.
All right, well, the next topic is...
Seriously. It's very frustrating. It is, because I think everybody knows. I mean, any national, the guy from USA Today said they're going to be 4-12. No, they're not. The Lions are not going to be 4-12. No. But he points to secondary. Everybody's pointing to secondary. And then this week it's Chris Houston isn't here. He's excused. Caldwell getting angry with the media. And then 3 days later, he's just gone. It's very bizarre sometimes how things go down a 222 Republic Drive.
I know you've got your opinions. We want you to share them with us. Use the hashtag 7SportsGate. We can talk a little bit about the Tigers. We want to know what you have to say. Hall of Famer Lynn Swann was in the cave earlier this week. We're going to hear from him. You also talked to him on your show this week. We'll get your take on it. But your reaction, the Twitter thoughts, as the Suburban Ford 7 SportsGate continues on the other side of the break. Thanks so much for waking up with us on this Father's Day. We'll be back right after this.
The Suburban Ford Sports Cave is brought to you by Wallside Windows. We can do that. We are the factory. Parts galore. Pull your own auto parts and save big bucks. And Feiger Law. Trial lawyers. Civil, criminal, appeals.
Welcome back to the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave. Tom Leyden with you this week in place of Brad Galley. It's going to be a busy day on Channel 7. We're going to be with you till 11:30, and then the World Cup coverage picks up at that point. And then later on tonight, we got the NBA Finals. Do the Spurs go home and knock off the Heat and finish this off in somewhat
better.
surprising fashion. Did you think that they would do it in 5 games?
No.
Stoney, come on.
Stoney's very angry.
No,
They better.
Because then you give them life, and then they'll win Game 6, and then who the heck knows? Look, the Spurs should have beat them last year, and they're certainly playing much better than Miami this year. And it'd be a shame for the bad guys to win again. So let's have Spurs just put them away tonight, right here on Channel 7.
I think that I think watching the Spurs has been a lot of fun. I think that there's so many people say, "Oh, the NBA is this and that," and it's guys don't care, and it's boring. Let me tell you, they're really fun to watch. They play together. They play as a team.
Right. This isn't the old plodding Spurs.
No, it's exciting. There's some new guys, and every night it's a different guy: Parker, Duncan, Diaw, Kawhi Leonard, and I'm with Tony. I like watching, David slaying Goliath a little bit. It's fun, and Dwayne Wade looks dead. He looks absolutely dead. Everybody's saying, "Oh, LeBron needs to carry him," and if he doesn't score 45, Dwayne Wade was arguably a top 10 of all time, top 5 of all time 2-guard. He looks exhausted. That's a lot of tread on some of these guys' tires. Remember what Tayshaun went through all those years, just playing so much, 3 years in a row. And Bosch, I love seeing Bosch lose. But
look, you got to give
Wade
him credit.
Wade and Bosch have got to do better.
4 straight trips to the finals.
Oh, it's tough.
You got to give him a lot of credit. But the NBA finals and the playoffs have been really good. And the NHL finals were spectacular. And we had a local kid scoring the Stanley Cup winning goal, Alec Martinez from Rochester Hills, Stony Creek. That was great. That was I know you're from New York, a Ranger fan, but you know what? That was one of the best 5-game series you could ever imagine.
It was surprising to see the Rangers go that far. They definitely rode the back of Henrik Lundqvist. It was a great series. It was really like a 7-game series because of all the overtimes. It was cool. The numbers with the Spurs are unbelievable, though. When you look back, 15 years, 6 finals appearances. If they win tonight, 5 championships. In that 15-year span, you're going to have Spurs with 5, Lakers with 5, and then just 3 other teams, including the Heat, that would have split the other 5. You got the Heat winning 2, the Mavs, the Pistons, and the Celtics. I mean, that's amazing that the Spurs may be able to put that run together.
It is, and you bring up a good point. A lot of people complain about the Pistons here and say, well, Joe D's drafts and everything. Look, he swung, struck out, swung and missed too many times. Other times he hit some line drives, including with Andre Drummond. But the Spurs they're not winning with high lottery picks either. They're winning with creativity, getting overseas scouts to find some guys, resurrecting a career of Diaw and having a system in place. And hopefully here with Stan Van Gundy, he can take a Josh Smith and do what Pop did with Diaw, who was a flop in Charlotte and in Phoenix and was overweight.
All right, let's get our
Pop's amazing.
Let's get our boy Mike Foss involved here. I know Mike's sitting back in the studio there taking a look at some of the tweets that are coming in. Mike, happy Father's Day to you. What are you checking out for us here in the studio?
Yeah, very happy Father's Day to you guys too. Nice seeing all the family members in here today. Obviously, Tigers bullpen still a very, very hot topic. Let's see what people are saying on Twitter using the hashtag 7SportsCave. Kate checking in this morning saying that the Tigers need to make a trade. Pray to the baseball gods that Nathan starts earning his very large salary. Our buddy Freddie says sending Phil Koch down I-75 South along with Gas Can Albuquerque and sending 2 more arms up I-75 North will fix the bullpen. Evan says trade for Koji Uehara, maybe more pipe dream territory, although he'll probably end up stinking like every other bullpen guy we get. And one non-Tigers tweet here, Joseph says, it's 2 nights of a day to let the Lions stretch you out. Happy Father's Day.
You're absolutely right.
Here's the biggest issue with some of these guys, including Freddie the Pizza Man who wrote in, is you want to make a trade. Who are you trading?
Right.
Because all of these teams, like let's say Arizona, who's completely out of it, says, yeah, Brad Ziegler, a little drop-down sidearm reliever. We'll give you him. And Dave will go, okay, great, we'll take him. What do you want? They're gonna say, give us Suarez. Like they're going to ask for a lot of these teams are going to ask for the moon, knowing full well that Dombrowski in the past has traded his top prospects, but there aren't that many great guys coming up. I'm loving what Suarez is doing. You're not trading him for a bullpen arm.
Let me ask you this: do you trade Iglesias? Because what are you going to do? You can't have both of them, can you?
No, but you could also wait until the offseason.
Right, I know.
And again, there's this talk of people saying, well, you just move Kinsler to the outfield and Suarez to second. Ian Kinsler does not want to move.
No, he didn't move last year, right? Exactly.
Right, and what can they do in making trades? They brought up Knable. It didn't work. Now they're bringing up Hardy, who's kind of a journeyman 27-year-old. What can they do? They can draft better. They can develop guys better. There's not much you can do right now. These guys all have to get. Joe Nathan's got to turn around. I think if Joe Nathan gets better, it'll be a nice effect on everybody else.
All right, our condensed version of the 7 Sports Cave continues right after this break. When we return, David Solano joined by Hall of Famer Lynn Swann right here In the cave earlier this week, his take on the Lions and the NFL's blackout policy. He's on a crusade, Lynn Swann.
Yes.
He wants to black out the blackout. Stay with us.
The Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave is powered by Suburban Ford of Sterling Heights, Michigan's largest dealer. Visit us at saveoncars.net.
Welcome back to the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave. Well, this week the NFL lost a legend when former Steelers coach Chuck Noll passed away. He led Pittsburgh to 4 Super Bowl titles. He also coached 11 Hall of Famers, including wide receiver Lynn Swann, who joined David Solano in the Sports Cave earlier this week and talked some Lions and also about the NFL's blackout policy. Brought to you, of course, by our friends at Parts Galore.
Let's jump right into the main issue of why you're here, the whole blackout rule situation. The FCC, NFL opposes everything. Why do you think they shouldn't get rid of the blackout rule?
Well, here's the key. You know, the blackout rule has been around for about 40 years, since 1975.
Right.
And it's worked extraordinarily well. If it's not broken, what are they trying to fix?
Right.
We have full stadiums. People come to the game. We're the only sport where fans who don't get to the game can watch it on free over-the-air television.
Right.
And the blackout rule helps supports that, and it supports our broadcast partners. A full stadium means enthusiastic players, enthusiastic fans. It means announcers are enthusiastic. Everybody benefits all the way around. So we have a coalition. We have a website. It's called www.protectfootballonfreetv.com, where fans can go and get more information. Can actually send a letter to the FCC in support of keeping the status quo, not changing the rule.
And why come to Detroit to send this message here?
Well, we're going to a number of teams around the National Football League. And certainly when you look at Detroit, and I wish you guys had won a Super Bowl somewhere along the way, you haven't had a blackout here since 2010.
Okay.
Your fans support this team. Look at the business around the stadium that's occurred, and that support the tax revenue that's generated for the money that your city and state put out to build this stadium so football could be here. So that all of your fans who can't get to the game are still enjoying the NFL on free over-the-air TV without having to pay for a cable subscription to watch the game.
So the FCC trying to make something happen in the next couple of months here, as soon as, what kind
It's
of
probably a
time frame
60-day period. We think they would like to make a decision. A lot of the folks have weighed in on it. The broadcasters have weighed in on it. The networks in favor of leaving it as is, the status quo, not changing the rule. So now it's time for fans to weigh in and to have their say.
Before we wrap things up, I know the Lions fans want to get your perspective on this guy named Megatron here in the Motor City.
Well, when I met Calvin Johnson, he wasn't Megatron.
Okay.
Or he was in the making, if you will. But when he was at Georgia Tech, they called him Neo, meaning he was the one, that he was going to make it happen. Hard not to notice that this young man had great talent. Wasn't quite as big as he is now when he was in college, but he's phenomenal talent. I think a great asset to the team, and I think he's got even better days in front of him. I mean, so I think Detroit's lucky to have him on the team.
And to add another weapon in Golden Tate, too, who, oh, by the way, wins a Super Bowl in Seattle, to bring him here is pretty nice also.
Well, that's going to give some balance here. I mean, I feel fortunate in Pittsburgh that we had 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers, John Stallworth, and I had a great opportunity to play alongside John. If you double team me, that means you have to have single coverage on John Stallworth. If you double John, you have to have single coverage on me. And if you double both of us, Franco's just going to run the ball.
There
and
you
won't
go.
have anybody to stop him. So having those assets together, I think will be extraordinarily beneficial. And I think Jim Caldwell might be the right guy for Detroit.
You know, nice to see Lynn here. Thank you, David, for the interview. Interesting topic. I mean, you're a diehard. You're buying tickets for the Lions.
And you know what? As much as I kind of think it's cool that they have the policy, how many people wouldn't go to the games if they didn't have the policy? I look at, like, you know, Michigan State football. People still go to the games. They're on free TV. I almost think it's a non-issue either way.
I mean, I think that Lynn gives you the story, the spin for his side, and
Some lobbyist is paying him.
He should, and that's fine. But he also says the NFL is the only entity here in the 4 major sports that all the games are on free TV. Well, yeah, locally. So if you want to watch the Lions, even when they're on ESPN opening night, the game will be on here, on this station, it's Channel 7. But as far as the lights are going on,
it depends if the lights don't stay on. Maybe one of
but if you're another network and you're a Raider fan living in St. Louis when the games are on NFL Network or ESPN, if you don't have cable, you can't see them. So It's interesting.
It is. All right, we're going to wrap it up. A little condensed version of the Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave this week. Matt Dery, Mike Stone along for the ride. We're going to wrap it up with our final thoughts on the other side of the break. And we go to the break with our state champs high school play of the week. And this one comes from the Division II softball quarterfinal on Tuesday. Helia Garcia of Livonia Ladywood.
She went
a 3-run homer in the bottom of the fifth versus Notre Dame Prep. That's muscle.
left field wall.
Wow. That was the state
nice
quarterfinal.
area.
They won that game 7-1, but they dropped the state title game to Stevenson Lakeshore yesterday. So congrats to both teams, Ladywood and Lakeshore, for a great
Perler
run
didn't have a good arsenal
this spring. Arsenal.
Art of hitting.
We'll be back.
The Suburban Ford 7 Sports Cave is powered by Suburban Ford of Sterling Heights, Michigan's largest dealer. Visit us at saveonCars.net.
Thanks for hanging with us this morning on the 7 Sports Cave. Matt Dery first with his final thoughts.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hey, look, when you're talking about what's going on lately with the NHL playoffs and the Stanley Cup final, it was terrific theater. It really was. Staying up late on Friday night to watch the LA Kings win was, I thought, awesome. I'm not a huge hockey guy, but you know what? I was glued to it. It was great action. Unfortunately, the numbers are coming in, and the NBA Finals, the World Cup, destroying hockey. Here in Detroit, we're known as Hockey Town. It's probably more, and Stoney would agree with me, Red Wing Town than anything else. But the league's got to do something about it. I think the TV contract, when 2 of the 7 Stanley Cup final games are on NBC Sports Network, which a lot of people don't have, it's a problem. More people need to know that this action, this playoff run, was terrific. Nobody knows who Alec Martinez is. No offense to Alec and his family here in Detroit, or Justin Williams, or some of the... Who's best player on the Rangers? Can you name him other than Lundqvist? You knew Messier 20 years ago. League's got to do more to promote these guys. When Nyquist was on his run here, he needed to be doing a media circuit. Sport's healthy. People got to know about it.
Good point. Stoney, what you got on your mind this week?
In just a few minutes, this station will move from the Sports Cave of Southfield, Michigan, to Brazil for today's World Cup matches. Switzerland takes on Ecuador in the opener, and I know many of you are saying, hey, Stoney, who gives a rat's you know what? I understand that. Soccer can be a huge snore fest, but once every 4 years, I get into it. Why? One word: passion. I love the way the players and, more importantly, the fans are absorbed by this. And thus far, the early games have not been disappointing, with miraculous theatrical goals every game. But what I can't figure it out is why many of you Americans will root against the USA when they play a country of their own nationality. Sorry, I don't care if your grandfather or your father were born in Germany. When the USA plays Germany, you root for us. If we play Italy, I don't care if your name is Nunzio or Giuliano, you root for us. That's right. If you are a citizen of the greatest country in the world, you should root for us. And if you don't, maybe just maybe, you're them and not us.
Ooh. Passion coming from Stoney. Thanks, boys.
All right.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Be good. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
Suburban Ford Sports Cave is brought to you by Wallside Windows. We can do that. We are the factory. Parts galore. Pull your own auto parts and save big bucks. And Feiger Law. Trial lawyers. Civil, criminal, appeals.